The Vorthak War Council had never witnessed anything like it. Commander Zalthar stood at the observation deck of the orbital command station, his four eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the battlefield below. The human settlement of New Terra had fallen exactly as predicted. The bombardment had been precise, calculated, devastating. Thermal signatures confirmed multiple casualties. The defensive positions had crumbled. Victory was assured. All hostile signatures neutralized, reported Subcommander Kriva, her chitinous plates clicking with satisfaction. Ground forces report minimal resistance. The human military installation has been... She stopped mid-sentence. One of the thermal signatures was moving. Zalthar leaned closer to the display, his secondary eyes narrowing. A single human soldier, previously marked as eliminated, had risen from the rubble of a collapsed bunker. The biometric scan showed severe injuries: 3 fractured ribs, internal bleeding, a shattered left arm, burns across 40% of his body. Impossible, Kriva whispered. The medical readings indicate he should be in shock, dying. The human began walking toward the Vorthak forward position. Send a suppression team, Zalthar ordered, his voice calm. In his 70 cycles of military service, he had conquered 18 species across 12 star systems. Humans were nothing special, fragile, short-lived, emotional. Finish him. 3 Vorthak warriors, each standing 7 feet tall with armored exoskeletons that had evolved over millions of years, to withstand the harshest environments, moved to intercept. They were trained killers, genetically superior, equipped with plasma rifles that could melt through steel. The human carried only a damaged kinetic weapon and a combat knife. The first Vorthak fell with 3 bullets to the center mass, punching through the gaps in his armor that no species had ever been fast enough to exploit. The second lunged with razor-sharp claws extended. The human dropped beneath the strike, drove the knife upward through the soft joint at the warrior's throat, and used the dying Vorthak's own weapon to eliminate the third. 14 seconds. 3 dead. Zalthar felt something he hadn't experienced in decades: uncertainty. Send another team. Full squad. Authorization for heavy weapons. 8 more warriors descended. The human was limping now, leaving a trail of blue-red blood across the scorched earth. His left arm hung uselessly at his side. Every step looked like agony. Yet he didn't stop. He adjusted his stance, found cover behind a destroyed transport, and waited. When the Vorthak squad rounded the corner, the human detonated an improvised explosive, something he'd apparently constructed from battlefield debris in the 30 seconds he'd had to prepare. The blast killed 4 instantly. The human eliminated the remaining 4 with the precision of someone who had nothing left to lose and everything to prove. What is he? Kriva breathed, her voice trembling. Zalthar pulled up the human's military file. Staff Sergeant Marcus Webb, 32nd Terran Marine Division, age 28 standard years. Combat deployments 7. Decorations multiple. Family status: wife and daughter in the civilian sector of New Terra, the civilian sector that no longer existed. He knows they're gone, Zalthar said quietly, understanding flooding through him like ice water. He has nothing left but this. Marcus Webb continued forward. The Vorthak artillery opened fire, saturating the area with plasma bombardment that turned sand to glass and stone to vapor. When the smoke cleared, sensors showed he'd somehow found a maintenance tunnel, was moving through the underground network toward the command center. Toward them. Seal the facility, Zalthar commanded. Full lockdown protocol. But the human had already anticipated that. He'd acquired demolition charges from a fallen Vorthak supply cache. The explosions ripped through 3 reinforced doors in succession. Alarms screamed throughout the station. Warriors rushed to defensive positions. Marcus Webb emerged from the smoke like something from a nightmare. His armor was scorched black, his face a mask of blood and ash. He'd lost his rifle somewhere in the tunnels. He carried only the knife and a Vorthak plasma pistol he'd scavenged. Medical scans showed his body was shutting down, running on nothing but adrenaline and what the humans called willpower, a concept the Vorthak had always dismissed as primitive emotional weakness. They weren't dismissing it anymore. He killed 2 more guards at the command center entrance. 4 more inside. He moved like something beyond pain, beyond reason, beyond death itself. Every Vorthak warrior who faced him fell, not because he was stronger or faster or better equipped, but because he simply refused to stop. When Marcus Webb finally reached the command center door, Zalthar made a decision that would haunt him for the rest of his life. A decision that would be studied in Vorthak military academies for generations as either the greatest tactical retreat or the most cowardly act in their species' history. "Evacuate," he ordered. "Everyone now." "Commander?" Kriva stared at him in disbelief. "It's one human." "We have—" "You don't understand," Zalthar interrupted, his voice hollow. "We've killed him a dozen times over. He should be dead. Every species in the galaxy would be dead. But he keeps standing back up." Through the security feeds, they watched Marcus Webb breach the final door. He stood in the center of the abandoned command center, swaying, the plasma pistol hanging loose in his grip. Blood pooled at his feet. His eyes, those strange human eyes, scanned the empty room. Then, satisfied that the enemy had fled, that he'd driven them back from his home, Marcus Webb finally allowed himself to collapse. By the time Zalthar's ship reached the edge of the system, relief forces from the Terran coalition were already arriving at New Terra. The war would continue. The Vorthak would regroup, reconsider, adapt. But Zalthar would never forget the lesson he'd learned that day. That humans didn't need to be the strongest or the fastest or the most advanced. They just needed to be the species that refused to stay down. And that made them the most terrifying warriors in the galaxy. When the humans stood back up, empires learned to flee.